Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Cassandra Gandara, Mayor Pro Tem, presiding over this meeting. Like to wish everybody on council, on the dais, a Happy New Year, and the audience and those listening, Happy New Year. Please remember our ground rules here, and they're on the screen. Please silence your cell phones. No foul language or disruptive behavior. When speaking, please state your full name. And with that, I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Bencomo.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo. Jennifer, Pets of the Week. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you all as well. For those who don't know me, I am Jennifer Martinez. I'm with the Communications Office, and today I have two new Pets of the Week to introduce you to. And I will begin with our Cat of the Week, Pixie. Pixie is about 3 years old. She came to the shelter with 4 babies. Aww. They have all since been adopted. Pixie's New Year's resolution is to find the perfect home of her own. She loves being pet and loves affection, and she hopes to steal your heart. And then we have Roly Poly. The 70-pound girl is very sweet. She loves to get attention, and she loves dog treats. Her previous owner said that she was good with kids. She's good to go for a walk and with other dogs. And if you'd like to start your new year off with a new companion, please bring yourself or your family down to the ASCMV to meet her. You can, of course, call the Animal Services Center. The number to call is right there on your screen, 382-0018. And you can call to make an appointment. You remember there is an adoption event that takes place over the weekend. This one is from Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at PetSmart. Thank you.
Such beautiful animals. Can we entice anybody on the dais or on the audience to adopt these two cuties? Councilor Abeyta's full, I understand, so. Jobs of the Week, Irene. Welcome from Economic Development Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, City Council, Irene Barra with Economic Development. Happy New Year, everyone. We begin Jobs of the Week with the City of Las Cruces, who is looking for an internal audit manager. This position pays between $78,000 and $113,000 a year and is open until filled. White Sands Missile Range is looking for a police officer, handler, and trainer. This position starts at $48,000 a year and closes on January 26th. The BNSF Railway is looking for 2 positions for a truck maintenance laborer and truck driver. This position pays between $25 an hour and $31 an hour, depending on experience, and this position closes on March 12th. We have Dearson Charities, who is looking for a maintenance worker. This position pays $19 an hour and closes on March 14th. Pep Boys is looking for an automotive mechanic. This position pays between $26,000 and $46,000 a year, depending on experience, and closes on March 19th. And finally, we have Periton, who is looking for a hardware maintenance depot deputy manager and supervisor, and this position pays $60,000 a year minimum and closes on March 14th. And as always, for questions about employment opportunities, contact New Mexico Workforce Connection at 575-524-6250, or you can visit them at their office at 226 South Alameda Boulevard, as well as online at employmentnm.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene. Next up is our presentations of certificates of appreciation proclamation. Councilor Bencomo, do we have any? None. See, I don't know that. None. Okay. And before we get into the conflict of interest, we have Councilor Abeyta on the line, and we're trying something new. We have her by Zoom, and so she sounds very clear, and we're super excited about that. But we need a motion to allow her to participate by Zoom via participate by Zoom. Sorry.
So moved, Becky.
Second, Graham.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Curran, second by Councilor Graham. Christine.
This is on the motion to allow Councilor Abeyta to participate via Zoom. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
All right. Now, is there any conflict of interest on on the dais and
None,
by
Graham.
staff?
None.
None, Gandara. Okay. Next, pardon me, we will start with public participation. We'll start on our left and work our way up. Anybody on the first row? No? Second is empty. Third, how about fourth row? Fifth row, sixth row? Yes, please make your way down. Mr. Garcia.
Mayor Pro Tem, excuse me, Council, Mr. City Manager, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mr. Garcia.
This quote is from Las Cruces Creative's website. Quote, a local small business in the community. This past weekend, Cruces Creatives was broken into. The burglars caused extensive glass damage, stole 2 laptops, a 3D printer, and cash from a register. Underlined, if you can help, we need assistance to repair the damages, to replace the losses, and to increase our security. I met with Leah, the executive director, about 2 weeks ago, and the damage is about $3,000 to $5,000 this time. Evident that there is no extra money, quote, in her budget to entertain the Las Cruces criminal element, who is determined to continue their terror attacks on small businesses trying to support and contribute to the community. It's a very nice place. For those of you that may have not been there, I would encourage you to visit. Their website states, quote, welcome to Cruces Creatives, a nonprofit market space that connects people with tools, training, and community to make practically anything. If I recall correctly, she has a payroll of about 7, and she's hoping to increase. Of course, this $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 worth of damage is going to set her back. Options like private security and other similar attempts to, quote, help are truly appreciated and part of the overall puzzle. But as a previous business owner stated, they are Band-Aids. Until we stop excusing criminal acts as a result of income gaps, economic downturns, and other, quote, social justice excuses for crime, and start putting deterrent and consequences into the solution, the problem won't be solved. Should Leah or Troy of Zia Comics, who has been under attack for the last 24 months or so, have their employees terrorized because of some progressive socialist agenda that precludes demanding harsher penalties for criminal acts? We have attempted to engage the DA, and the response I received was they focus on felonies. Maybe I misunderstood them. We have 7 elected officials on the dais, and out of 7, I have heard only one ask for harsher penalties or a change to the law to help deter and punish criminals. Maybe I missed the others. Senator Hamlin came here a few months back and declared affordable housing is a right, and that's okay. So why haven't all of you called out publicly that it should be a, quote, right for these business owners to have a safe place for them and their employees, and demand Representatives Cadena, Madrid, Rubio, and so forth, Senators Steinborn, Souls, and others, to push for and call out a change to the legal system. In my opinion, it is not a topic for the progressive agenda. Did the governor address crime other than more gun control during inauguration? She didn't, at least I didn't hear it, but she did address, quote, the right to kill the unborn babies as a top priority. This is not about party. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It is about an ideology that believes in turning society upside down in order to impose social justice, and it is hurting our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Anybody else in that row? No? 7th row? Yes, please make your way down.
Happy New Year's. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. I would like to first introduce myself. My name is Dr. Judy Berryman, and I'm the incoming 2023 chairperson for the Historic Preservation Commission. Other members of the commission today are David Chavez, Paul Deason, and Ed Hayworth, and there are 4 other members as well. For the benefit of everyone, the commission was established in early 2020 after the creation of the Las Cruces Municipal Code, Chapter 40. The goal and the purpose of the commission includes, but is not limited to, identifying properties, neighborhoods, archaeological sites, and buildings for evaluation and potential designation as cultural resources, recommending to the mayor and the city council properties to be designated and entered into the register of cultural properties, recommend to the mayor and the city council the adoption of design guidelines to ensure proper restoration and rehabilitation practices for older building stock and to ensure architectural integrity. As part of this process, we have been actively involved in seeking a solution to the Las Cruces Country Club. As everyone knows, where it is located and the condition that it is currently in. To date, approximately 8 to 10 professional moving companies have been contacted seeking a bid, trying to get a solution to either moving the structure or providing some type of option of leaving it in place. We are continuing with this action. I believe that the holidays have sort of hindered the positive responses, but we're still at that. And in the last couple of weeks, we have seen a general swelling of support from the community in the form of multiple emails and even editorials. So we're learning from ourselves that this topic is a very strong topic. So in concluding, I'd like to say we are looking forward to working individually and with everyone in work sessions with you and any interested parties. Our goals for this year is to update Chapter 40, remove any ambiguities, to develop building guidelines, and to continue working with the City Council and developing a cohesive preservation plan. So I thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Row 7, anybody else? Anybody on this side? No? Okay. To my right, first row, second, I think that's staff, third, fourth. Anybody on my right would like to speak on behalf of public comment? Okay, seeing none, that concludes public comment. Next on our acceptance of agenda, I need a motion.
Move to accept agenda.
Second, Corin.
Moved by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Karan. Christine.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Karan?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Thank you. All right. Next up is 7-point run, resolution number 23-080. May I get a motion to approve?
So move, Graham.
Seconded, Corin.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, second by Councilor Karan. Christine. Oops, no, not yet. Sorry. I'm ahead of the curve here. Cheryl de la Cruz.
Greetings.
Greetings. Take a breath, Cheryl. Oh.
Thank you. Okay. So greetings, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Management, Cheryl de la Cruz, Budget Analyst. The resolution before you today is to accept 1 state grant and 2 foundation grants. Quality of Life has received 2 foundation grants. The first is the If Then Gender Equity Project for $4,000. These funds will be used to create a museum exhibit and surrounding educational program for the Museum of Natural and Science on the topic of women in STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programs. The second award is the Meals on Wheels American Collaboration Program for $3,960. These funds will be used to provide medically tailored meal deliveries to seniors within our city. The police department has received their annual traffic safety police grant of $84,000. These funds are used for officers' overtime to conduct NDWI, buckle up, and step, and which are all traffic safety programs. And that's it for this month. Here are council options. I'll stand for questions along with representatives from each of the departments.
Thank you, Sherelle.
Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Abeyta? None. Okay, seeing none. Oh, I'm sorry, public comment, sorry. Yes, come. George. How are you?
Good New Year. I'm George Pearson. The NMDOT grant includes $30,000 for the STEP, the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, that includes crashes involving pedestrians. As working with Safe Routes to School, I had the displeasure of seeing a car go through an intersection with students in it. And I know, fortunately, that was only one time and some time ago, but I know routinely there are issues with students and pedestrians. So my question is, how are these funds to be used, and will there be specific pedestrian safety programs for them?
Good question,
Thank you.
George. Thank you. Sherelle or anybody from traffic here to address that?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Hi, Chief.
Chief Dominguez for the record. Mayor Pro Tem, the overtime funds are used in conjunction with traffic studies and the like. They address crashes and complaints where pedestrian safety is of concern. So there are several overtime projects that we have working in areas of concern.
Okay. So the money is specifically for overtime?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. Anybody else for public comment? No? Okay. Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-080. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And Mayor is absent.
Thank you, Christine. Next on the agenda, resolution number 23-081, a resolution adopting a fast-track permitting program. Elizabeth Teeters, good afternoon.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Motion to approve made by Councillor Graham, second by Councillor Bencomo.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilors. I'm just going to do a quick introduction, and then I'm going to turn it over to Celicia. But first, I just want to go over kind of where this concept came from. This is just one of multiple tools that ED's been working on to put in our toolbox in the past year. This is the first of what will be quite a few in the next 6 months to hopefully we'll be bringing to you. There's two things that came out of this process. First off, it is a recruitment tool, and it is the purpose of it is to bring in business. And so it's a marketing tool. It helps that part of its purpose is so that either staff from Avita or myself can stand in front of a potential business and guarantee that they can get a shovel in the ground and get in the facility when they need it to happen. And the second is that it has created internal processes that have never been in place before. When a business is coming to town, it's always been economic development works through the incentive process and potentially land sale, and then when that's passed and it moves on to community development. This has created a process where all these internal departments are working together throughout from the beginning to the end. We've been working on this for about a year, and it's economic development, community development, public works, utilities, and city manager's office have all put in input to bring this policy forward. And something that's come from it, you know, we're just trying to get the process in place, but there is opportunity for expansion. So this means potential affordable housing projects that could use fast-track permitting in the future. And also with this new collaboration with community and economic development, there's opportunity for small business assistance, setting up new programming to better assist our businesses already in place in Las Cruces. So with that, Celicia has done most of the legwork for this, so I'm going to turn it over to her to walk you through the process.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, Celicia.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, and Happy New Year. So today, we'll be going over the fast-track permitting program for consideration. I just wanted to go over some of the background, and Elizabeth did explain some of it. But initially, this program came about based off of the direction of Elevate Las Cruces, which in short was to stimulate business development in the area of the industrial park by creating development strategies and updating the master plan for LCIIP. In line with that direction, one of the strategic goals in the updated master plan was to create some framework for development and also processes that would attract new tenants and encourage business development out there. But rather than isolating this program solely for the industrial park, it's staff recommendation to offer this program to all eligible economic development projects within city limits that need the service. So the purpose today is to establish general guidelines and minimum qualifications for a fast-track permitting program. The objectives are to accelerate the review and approval of qualifying economic development projects, provide an efficient and effective review process allowing the city to offer and promote a business-friendly environment, as Elizabeth precluded. So also it's intended for larger economic development projects. These businesses more than likely have done the same or very similar projects in other cities. So they have the majority of the required documents and plans readily available to submit. So like Elizabeth said, this program was developed by both community development, economic development, in conjunction with all of the other impacted departments, such as public works, utilities, and legal, to ensure the processes and workflows go smoothly. So getting into the project eligibility, the project must not be for non-residential development. It still requires to obtain all the development approvals through community development, with the exception of the fast-track timeline, which you'll see shortly. It also has to meet one of the following, which creates at least 40 permanent or full-time jobs in the first 24 months of operation, and or fully build out of buildings of at least 20,000 square feet for a new or expanded operation in a targeted industry. So there are some exceptions. Just to note, inspections and certificates of occupancy are not eligible for fast-track, the fast-track processes. However, they may be negotiated with community development based on a need and benefit to the city. Just a reminder, online services are already in place to schedule inspections, prior, and to make sure that they get out when they need to be. And as far as the economic development requirements, they may be, if a project doesn't meet those minimum requirements, they can be considered on a case-to-case basis. They would be required to demonstrate a significant benefit and they would be reviewed and approved by Economic Development. So going into the process, number one, the business would submit those qualifying economic development documents. These would include job creation numbers, estimated capital investment, estimated total revenues, evidence of financial strength, history, and the desire of commitment to the community. And that's just, some of the few things that are typically in those documents. And they can submit that whenever they're ready. The second thing would be to schedule a required pre-application submission meeting. So this is where all the magic happens. The business is able to present their development schedule to staff. They can explain their expected completion dates. They can work with staff to answer any preliminary questions. If they're out of state or if they're in state and they don't understand some of the processes, they're able to just freely ask any questions up front. So at this meeting, community development, just as an overview, they would look over and make sure that this is the type of project that would meet a fast track, and there's no big red flags, rezoning or something that might take longer to go through. So here's a picture of that timeline that I just mentioned. It starts with that pre-app meeting, and that does a few things there. It defines the process, the project. It forms project teams, both internally and externally. Everybody will know who they need to talk to, have contact information, and it sets this timeline. So it sets expectations, pretty much. So the circles in red is the main difference between the standard process in place now and the fast track. This actually gives everybody involved where the developer is able to set a time. They'll say, okay, city, if you're gonna approve my permit on this expected date, I'm gonna get you the completed designs by this date, so that way we meet that timeline. If you see on the right, any time between that duration, city's available for any meetings, any questions, but it actually sets that expectation that the city's expecting to see that submittal come in on such date. So once we get that submittal, the staff has 8 days or less to review it, provide comments, and we have another timeline from the developer. So the developer will say, I'll give you back the revisions by this date. And the same thing happens where staff will have 8 days or less to review and do the final approval, and the permits are issued at that point in time. So as you can see, there's a lot of communication that's involved, specifically on those exterior steps. Staff would be able to, if the time comes where, it's a week and we still don't have submittal, we can definitely, now that we have that date, we can reach out and say, we noticed that your design hasn't been submitted. Do we need to push that time out? Do you need more time? It gives that flexibility, but it also doesn't, it's a time saver where staff's not having to just wonder when those plans are coming in. And that's really what's happening now. we can't wait around and just wait for plans to come in when we don't have a date expected. So some general guidelines, adherence from all parties is paramount. This can't be stressed enough. If we don't have those dates, those expectations, it can't happen. So that communication is going to help the process go along. Coordination and cooperation between the plans consultants, the government agencies, and developers. And everybody needs to be on board pretty much. So for applications, the city is authorized to require proof of legal authority, making sure that that is the person that needs to be applying. The basic submission of the documents and any fees that are required. Submission would be reviewed and within 5 days for completeness. And that timeline will start once deemed complete. Any applications that remain idle for 6 months are considered expired, and they would need to resubmit. There is an option if needed, if the applicant needs to do some partial or permit phasing, that would be on an as-needed basis, and that request would go through community development. And with that, here are your standard council options. And we have representation from community development, utilities, and myself.
Thank you, Celicia. I appreciate that. Councillor Graham, Councillor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you so much for the presentation. A couple of questions. Let me start with the most general. So this is not just constrained to the industrial park, correct?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councillor Graham, that is correct. Initially, that's how it was laid out as far as a goal for the Elevate. But with being in economic development and some of the goals that we have as a department, we felt that expanding it throughout the city would be best.
Okay, great. I think, and this may just be a me problem, I'm willing to defer on that. I think the way that the resolution is reading as written, like the whereases, is a little confusing. It seems like the first two are speaking specifically to the industrial park, and then the third whereas we kind of suddenly make a jump to this is for the whole city. And I'm not sure, and City Clerk, I defer to you also. I don't know if this is something that would warrant a slight amendment. Two possibilities I see are just losing the first two whereases that refer specifically to the industrial park. The other option would be perhaps doing a replacement, add a whereas, add a new third whereas, which I even already wrote one, but I don't know if, I don't know Christine, what are options here, or is that getting too much? Is this too much to do, like calling an audible like this?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councillor Graham, if this is not specific to the industrial park, I would amend it to remove that. That is up to you guys, though, if you want to make that amendment.
Would it be possible, and asking all of you now, would it be possible then, can we keep the spirit of the resolution if we lose the first two whereases? I think we can.
Councillor Graham, I'm wondering if you can ask your additional questions, go to Councillor Bencomo and anybody else that has any questions, and then refer back to you so that you can explain a little further, make an amendment, I think would be most appropriate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Welcome.
Thank you. My second question, I didn't see this in the presentation, and referring to my notes, it shows up on page 170 of 302 of the agenda packet. I don't know if you guys have, but you probably need to read it. this, you have to, an applicant business has to meet at least one of the following criteria to qualify. And one of the things mentioned is a target industry as defined by economic development. And I'm wondering if you can give me a sense of what those target industries might be, if we've already chosen them.
Thank you for the question, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Graham. For the industrial park, yes, there is specific targeted industries, which is aerospace, aviation, and defense, value-added agriculture, and advanced manufacturing. And as far as citywide, there's a few other ones, such as film, and I don't know what other, cannabis, and industries such as that. Where we are focusing our, encouragement of those types of industries.
Okay, so do we have kind of a hard list, or would it be more of a case-by-case sort of basis if we're deciding if it's a target industry or not?
Mayor Pro Tem Councilor Graham, I would say, and I might defer to Elizabeth, that we would like to keep that dynamic, I would say, because depending on what market trends and things like that, we wouldn't want to, have to come back and amend that type of process.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Graham, Celicia is correct that we want to try to keep within our key industries, but like the policy says, it is on a case-by-case basis. So, we do have the opportunity, if a business is coming in and doesn't fit into that niche, to allow them to do the fast track process.
Okay, great, thank you. And then my final question, if we can jump back to the flow chart slide, maybe slide 9 or so? Ooh, sorry, 11. So on the blue side, where we're making our city commitments, like, great, I believe in us. On the red side, if developers are not following the timeline, are not adhering, what consequences can we realistically put on a developer who is not adhering to the timeline so we are able to keep our commitment on our side? What's the teeth in this thing, I guess I'm asking?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Graham, thank you for the question. This is really a tool that is for them, really. We have our in place already, 8 days or less, like Larry will abide to, but we want to be flexible. Like Elizabeth mentioned before, this is more of a marketing tool. We want to let businesses know we're here to help. Whatever targeted date they want, we'll work with them to determine those dates to make that happen. Okay. If the business runs into any kind of problems where they have to delay, we'll be flexible and change those dates for them, but they, in knowing that the city will still, even though we have to move it back a week or a month or whatever, they still have those 8 days are left to do what they need to do. It also does another thing where it holds their subcontractors and design professionals to those dates as well. So it gives them some teeth to say, look, I'm hiring you for this. We need to hit this mark to get it to the city so we can meet our construction expectations.
Okay, perfect. So a recruitment tool and an accountability tool. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Graham. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you for your questions, Councilor Graham. Couple questions. What's the average timeline for the permitting process currently?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo, thank you for the question. I think I'm going to defer that to Mr. Larry Nichols.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. I wish you a happy and successful New Year coming up. Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo, that depends on the project size. you know, if it's a fairly small commercial building or one that was described here before you today, it can be 8 to 10 days, 12 days for a first review back to comment. If it's a much more complex project, such as maybe a large-scale Walmart or something of that nature that has a number of review documents in their construction documents, it may take up to 25, 30 days, depending on the complexity of the project.
Okay, so this new proposal is cutting down by a couple days, then?
Mayor Pro Tem and Councilor Bencomo, the whole objective of this is time, because normally what we hear from our developers and our business people is, how quickly can I get my doors open for business? So I think with the description that was presented today, it gives people an objective that if they can perform to the flow chart you see here, then we can perform as well. And that may cut as many as 5, 10 days off of the project, maybe more.
Okay, thank you, Larry. This question may be for any three of you, I guess. I think this is a great idea for the Innovation and Industrial Park. Did I get that right? For the park, I think this is a great idea. I have a little bit more concerns when we talk about making this for the entire city around, like, how do you hope to talk about this for smaller businesses who are like, why don't I get a chance at a faster permitting process, right? Like, how are we going to address perhaps that disparity, that perception and disparity when we're talking about the entire city?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo. And I appreciate that concern. What I feel is that, well, for one, any project still has to go through the normal steps. The P&Z, right. It's still going to go through the same processes regardless if it's an industrial park or anywhere else in the city. So they still have to meet zoning requirements and all of those things, considerations. As far as the small businesses, what we found in community development might be more of a test to it is they might not need this specific process. They might need a different type of assistance. They might not have the plans drawn out, and they might need direction to certain professionals and things like that. So like Elizabeth alluded, I think this is a great opportunity to look further into other processes, and maybe it'll be a catalyst for those.
Great. I certainly hope it is. I think as you all have started noting the differences of what certain industries require, I do hope it's a catalyst because I think this is innovative and I think it's good and important. I do continue to have that. And I am curious around, I know that you thought about doing it just for the industrial park. I'm curious if we go back to that and say, let's try it for the industrial park and see how that goes, and then we launch it to the whole city. Was that a discussion? I'm curious if it was sort of how you came up with just doing it for the entire city now.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo, it was discussed. I thought that we as staff figured not to isolate just and leave it open to everybody, but we're open to suggestion, I think, either way.
I thought I may have heard Ifo clear his throat. Did you want to jump in, Ifo?
Oh,
Yes, please. Ifo.
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to clear my throat on the mic.
I need to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Como. I just wanted to maybe give a little bit more context to, not to jump in the middle of the presentation, but I really appreciate the Economic Development Department and CD and everybody coming up, as you mentioned, Councilor Bencomo, because I do think it is innovative. I think they've been working on it for a while, and so I'm glad it's here. One thing to put in perspective is that we want to be fast for everybody, right? And so I think that's what the concern is that we're going to be fast for some and not for the other. But if you look at Larry's turnaround time, it's fast. And anyway, right? And if there's problems with us holding up, we'll for surely, I'll get the email, Larry will get the email, you'll get the email if there's hold up there. But that's one thing I want to make everyone know, make known is that we want to be fast for everybody. As Celicia mentioned, this is just another tool. When companies come, especially some of these big companies that we're going to go after, they do want this more than others because of the investment that they're making. And it becomes a little bit more complicated when they're actually building the building versus, a lot of our small businesses moving into already built facilities, and they just need permitting in that way. And so we have other tools that we need to look at and other options for our small businesses that they can employ right now. I mean, I think Larry can talk about ways that he's assisted in even the Economic Development Department. But for me, as I've gone out in my previous, I mean, you all know in my previous city, I mean, I kind of dedicated my whole life to going out and recruiting, having this just in our toolbox, coming up to a big company that says, comes to us and says, how long it's going to take, how long is it going to take? And we have something codified, so to speak. We have something in place that says we actually have a fast-track permitting process that commits us to this. It really, really goes a long way. And I think more so the statement that it makes that we're willing to do that. And again, I think we should make sure that we make that statement for all business as well. But just the fact that we have this in place, it tells the company that we're willing, right? And we're not, a lot of times they come in and they'll assume the opposite. They'll assume the government is filled with red tape, and they assume all government is that way. And so just having this in place, again, it shows the commitment. But the timeline will differ. And with my experience, I think if I were to go through all the companies that actually have taken advantage, there hasn't been a whole lot that actually says, your fast-track permitting process really saved me this amount of time. Because I think overall we try to be fast to begin with, right? And so if we look at this not as taking away from other resources, but adding to it, so not taking away from other businesses that are here, but we'll continue to look at how we can help small business.
That's helpful, Ifo. I do appreciate that. That's really helpful. Did you want to say something?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo. Yeah, just piggybacking on what Ifo said. Community development already has an online service that's very efficient. If you go in there, you can see exactly where you're at, where the hangup is, who to contact. This kind of just puts those red dates that are the targeted dates, that if we see that plans weren't submitted the day before that date, we can get on the phone and say, hey, we just noticed, and do that courtesy and let them know, like, if you don't hit that, it might be in jeopardy where we might not hit your targeted date, So it's just another process, but there's already that service available. It's just more relying on the developer and the business to do that. So I just wanted to note that.
Mayor Pro Tem and Councilor Bencomo, also you were talking about industrial park versus the entire city, and I'm kind of put them on the spot, but I asked Mr. Lopez to be here today for Movida because they're going to be the ones using this the most. But most of our projects are looking at the industrial park anyway, and we don't want to tell, if by chance a project comes in and they find a tract of land that's not in our industrial park, we don't want to have to tell them no, but Davin can probably tell you more about the breakdown of the projects, but that's we just didn't want to just single any businesses out.
No, that's really helpful, Elizabeth, and all of you. Thank you for that additional context. That definitely, I think, smooths out some of my concerns. And I'm very confident that this Economic Development Department is very open to feedback. Shall any of these kinds of things come back up? I know that you all will take that feedback. And just to Councilor Graham's point around the resolution, I guess I'm okay with the language because I think it's important that it specifically says the Innovation and Industrial Park, given the focus on the park, but then that it also says it's not just for the park, it is actually for the entire city. I guess I don't see a problem with the wording because I think it's, again, maybe symbolically or for that statement that it does specifically say the industrial park as it is an area of huge focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo. Councilor Curran.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you so much for the presentation, and I think a lot of the questions that I had have really been answered, and you alluded to this just briefly, but I do want to follow up on the idea of things that involve public comment or a change in zoning, for most proximately is the thing that I would think of. That will still go through the same, this isn't fast-tracking changes in things that we've already established and processes that exist. And I know that that's true, yes? That's my understanding.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Curran, thank you for the question. And yes, you'll still go through all the public comment, and those processes are codified, and they have to meet certain deadlines, and they have to be open and public participation and things like that, so that it's not trying to cut out any of those types of codes and processes. So.
And I think that actually some of those are also sort of overly cumbersome in some ways, and I'm looking forward to realize, because I think that part of that is to sort of streamline that and make that more clear and transparent to everyone. So, so I do hope that we can think about that at some point in the future. But right now, I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't part of this conversation. So, otherwise, I think that my questions have been answered, and I would support adding the assertion that it is for citywide. If you wanted to add a clause that you already wrote out. But now I understand sort of how to read it, and it's clear enough for me to feel confident that I understand it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. And then just to close, and I'll not really, because Councilor Beta's on the line, and I'll make sure that I get her comments. When this got brought to Economic Development Policy Review Committee, there was concerns about sort of pinning the big business and the small business, and what about small business? We had lots of conversation about that. Ms. Moore from the Greater Chamber brought many concerns about that, and I want to address that publicly. You know, the small business is the cornerstone, it's our backbone, and we want to do everything that we can to ensure that small business is taken care of, and that includes if they're, you know, an entrepreneur or someone sort of in that smaller phase, they come to community development and they're going to get the same kind of positive treatment, wanting to fast track those things. They'll get a meeting as well. Nothing really is different. I think really this is a marketing tool for Davin, who does a lot of our work, and that includes the Economic Development Department. So, you know, I just want to be clear on that. And, you know, before the meeting, I told Ifo, you know, we're getting some emails. You're going to have to explain this, that, you know, small business is the cornerstone, is our backbone. We want to really land some big industrial, you know, companies in those focal areas. And you've named them already, Celicia. So I don't know if Mr. Lopez wants to say anything that will help give us a little more you know, background and lay some of our concerns to rest. You know, I'm happy to hear from Davin if you're available, Davin.
Mayor Pro Tem, councilors, first of all, Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year.
And thank you for inviting me up here. Yes, so first of all, I want to applaud all the different departments that came together to make this happen. I think that's a very important first sign to show to any company or site selector that I work with that, we're a growing, progressive community that does believe in business and facilitating that business. I will say I'm hoping you approve this. It is important in terms of, as Ifo mentioned, it is a marketing tool. It's an opportunity to show to companies when we go out to market that we are really open for business and are not just saying that, we're actually have within statute, we have within policy ways to really illustrate that. So it really is kind of just a marketing tool. But at the same time, as Ifo mentioned as well, it's been, fast track programs have always been important to try to consolidate or limit the time for construction. But this past year, because of inflation on construction, it's becoming even more important to companies and site selectors that I talk to. In fact, a lot of them are using it as kind of a check the box. If you don't have a policy in place for fast track, we're not even looking at that because the cost of inflation right now, the cost of delays is just too important to the cost of a project overall and getting into business. So I think you're right. It does send up the signal that we are open for you. Regarding some of the other questions that have come up, I'm not going to be in the best position to, as Ms. Moore with the Chamber will be, to talk about all small businesses that are out there. But I will say from my experiences, I will agree with what Ms. Teeter said earlier. A lot of times we see small businesses, they're not looking to construct something. They're moving into a development that already exists. Secondarily is what I've seen in the past is a lot of times the ones that are just getting into business, they require a lot more technical assistance and hand-holding along the way. It's not exactly that, that's not 100%, it's not in every case, but that's what we see the majority of. And I think we are, with the Chamber, even with Mavita, and of course the city, we are working on those tools to not only identify what specific technical assistance is needed for small businesses, but really what can we really bring to the table to support them. So I don't know if that alleviates any of the questions you have, but I will say that with Fast Track in particular, it will hopefully make our conversations a little bit easier with companies that we talk to in terms of their ability to not only choose Las Cruces as their home, but then to make the capital investment that's necessary for our city to grow.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lopez. Any questions or comments from council? For Mr. Lopez? No? Seeing none, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Councilor Abeyta? Do you have any questions, concerns, comments?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to say that I'm also happy to see this type of permitting being able to be used for industry, and I do recognize the concerns that the smaller businesses have, but I'm happy to have this as part of our toolkit for expansion and to work to see what else we can do. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Abeyta. Okay, back to Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm cool. Like, I'm good with it.
You are?
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I'm just being a word nerd over here, but no, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Graham. All right. Public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none. Christine.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-081. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. Next up is resolution number 23-082, a resolution urging the New Mexico State Legislature to pass the amendment to the MRA Code, Chapter 3, Article 60A.
Move to approve. Second, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Graham. Elizabeth.
All right. Hello again, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. We're going to shift focus a little bit to the small businesses we were just discussing.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about changes to the MRA state statute. This is a support resolution to change what the City of Las Cruces Economic Development staff and the City of Albuquerque have been working towards figuring out ways to make an MRA more efficient and better, like easier to use for municipalities. So the current state statute, Article 60A, it allows local jurisdiction to declare an area for redevelopment. The local jurisdiction implements redevelopment projects. These projects can be in infrastructure, affordable housing, land, building, acquisition, and development. The unique tools that an MRA has, property disposition at fair value, 7-year tax abatement, public-private partnerships, and it's important that it is not a conflict with anti-donation. So there is one existing funding mechanism within the MRA. It is an incremental property tax for specific redevelopment projects. Only properties within that specific project can be included. It does not allow for collection of an entire MRA designated area, and it does not allow for collection of GRT. So there are currently 27 municipalities within the state of New Mexico that have MRAs. So they have plans in place, they have projects in place, but there's no funding mechanism to help to get these projects off the ground. So the proposed changes is to provide a meaningful source of revenue to implement MRA projects. So this, what they're proposing is a 20-year collection of up to 75% of incremental property tax and GRT. The 1.225% local share back portion of the GRT will continue to be shared back to local jurisdiction. It can be an entire district, not just for a singular project. It excludes educational and specific districts. It's approved by the State Board of Finance, and funds can be used accordingly to locally approved MRA plans. So one thing that has come out of the partnership with the City of Albuquerque is that they have a consultant that has worked through and figured out a sample analysis for 3 different municipalities to figure out if this funding mechanism were in place, how much funds over the 20-year period would actually come into the community with the incremental tax. So it was the City of Albuquerque, the City of Las Cruces, and Ruidoso. This is our sample analysis, and okay, the map is supposed to have a box. So this is our general MRA area that we gave. Now, it's important to note that this has nothing to do with our current process of trying to get an MRA designation. We just gave them a sample area. So we gave them a general area and the data within it. We decided, even though it can go up to 75%, to do 33% in the city, 25% in the county, and 25% in the state. And for all 3 municipalities, they did this. So it is estimated over a 20-year period that $143 million would come back to the MRA to be used for projects. Now, this seems like a lot of money, but please remember it's a 20-year period, and this is a very large area, sample area. So when we do set MRAs, like just think of our downtown one right now, it's not this big, so it won't be as much money. But if this were to be our MRA, for example, it would be about $7 million annually that we would be able to put towards this area. And so with that, an update from the last few days, I was able to add in the draft legislation to the case packet. We got it last week. And so what we're doing is we're asking for support from all these municipalities that currently have MRAs so that when the state legislative session starts, we can go enforce and say that the municipalities are in support of this, because we need to have funding to really implement these projects and assist these areas. And with that, these are our regular council options.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Really appreciate that. Councilor Bengomo.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I know that you and I had a conversation a long time ago, and where you guys were talking about doing exactly this, so I'm really excited that it's in front of us, especially because we've been talking so much about 3 particular areas that this council really believes, deserve this kind of attention. And so I'm really excited to see it. Does it have a sponsor yet? Are there folks that we should be reaching out to specifically?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo, there's actually a meeting happening right now with a potential sponsor, and it's a local person. So.
Great. Okay, great. Yes, I couldn't support this more, honestly. I'm really excited about the possibility of this. And then I just wanted to say thank you. I know that over the holidays, PIO put out the statement on the MRA meetings coming up real soon. And so I'll be sharing that on my social media as well, because I think this is a really important tool at our disposal right now for blighted areas like West Picacho, El Paseo, South Solano that could really use something like this. So I really appreciate all of the work that you and your department do, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bengomo. Anybody else? Councilor Abeta?
No questions, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, all right. Really excited about the tool. This was another one, as Elizabeth isn't kidding when she says there's going to be numerous tools coming to council. Been having quite a bit of conversation related to the tools to help, as Councilor Bencomo indicated, our blighted areas that I represent, not just the downtown. And so I want to state very adamantly that we do have vision, and vision improving our blighted areas, our infill areas, and this would be a remarkable tool to help with that. So thank you, Elizabeth. Any comment out in the audience? No? Okay, seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-082. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Thank you, Christine. Next up, 7.4, resolution number 23-083, a resolution to establish a pilot program for the installation of hygiene stations throughout the city of Las Cruces, and I am really excited about this. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Graham. Second by
Motion made by Graham, second made by Councilor Bencomo. Hi, Sergio.
Good afternoon, Mayor
Happy
Pro
New
Tem
Year.
Gandara and City Council. My name is Sergio Ruiz, Policy Analyst for the record. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year's. And this afternoon, I'm here to present a pilot program to establish the installation of hygiene stations. This is to establish a pilot program for the installation of hygiene stations throughout the city of Las Cruces to abate any nuisance that negatively affects public health and safety. Hygiene station waste will provide portable toilet facilities and hand washing stations, and all waste will be contained within storage containers. Now, I'd like to emphasize really quick, some of these portable facilities do have showers. They come with showers or are equipped with showers. Also, others are equipped with the boxes, the safety boxes that come for if people are using intravenous drugs. That way they can dispose of the needles that they use. So I just wanted to make that a point here really quick. Hygiene stations can improve the quality of life for those living on the streets by maintaining personal hygiene, improving health, and overall well-being. Hygiene stations assure a clean and safe environment for our city by expanding access to hygiene facilities. Excuse me. They reduce crime. Hygiene stations have the potential to reduce the number of citations and criminal charges that result from individuals simply seeking space to manage their personal hygiene. And hygiene stations will help to eliminate the waste management on the sidewalks and streets adjacent to our city's businesses, and that interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property. This program will provide services as well. Hygiene stations will help address sanitation and health concerns of the Las Cruces community and bring dignity to our homeless residents. The services that we would like to provide as well, along with the hygiene stations, would be to coordinate services for people experiencing homelessness, provide street-based educational outreach, needs assessments, and resource linkage. Here are your council options, and I stand for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Any questions, concerns? Councilor Abeta.
None. No questions, Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilor Cran.
I just wanted to thank you for bringing this up and continuing to advocate for this. I do want to advocate for the inclusion of biohazard drop boxes as a part of this. I think people who are experiencing chronic health conditions, including things like diabetes, people who use intravenous drugs, a number of folks, this is considered a public health issue and also part of something that I think we can do better for our community. So I would just like to advocate that whenever this process, I imagine this will be a goes out to bid sort of situation or something like that. I would like to emphasize that be part of the included services that are part of it. So thank you again for bringing it forward, and that's the short of it.
Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, Councilor Karan, yes, this would be a RFP process. So it would go out to different organizations that would like to apply for the funding to proceed with this program.
Councilor Bencomo.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Sergio, and thank you both for working on this. Given what you just said, I guess my question is next steps, because we've been talking to EFO about this, and I know that we asked a nonprofit in town to come up with some estimates, and they've done some of that work in terms of what it would look like to purchase the equipment and staff it, or purchase it and not staff it, those kinds of things. Obviously, there are procurement processes that we will have to follow in terms of the purchasing of any of these stations, EFO, but are you thinking that then there will also be another additional RFP for the city? Our expectation is not that the city will operate and staff them. Our expectation is to work with a partner organization that will do that. Will that then require an additional RFP process?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo, I'll check with our procurement, with finance, and see what we need to do to expedite this.
Yeah.
So that is the preference, and we really do want to turn this over to an organization that's well equipped to do that.
Yeah.
My preference would be to just move forward with an organization without, but I'd have to check and make sure we're following procurement. If we can consider sole source, that's one thing, but because this is a service that we've asked, and it's very niche service. I don't know if there's too many, and if we can justify that, but I got to check with finance and make sure we'll follow procurement for sure.
And I think there's only very few organizations in towns that we could trust to do something like this, and honestly that are willing to. So I hope that we can hear an update on that soon, EFO. Yeah. Thank you, and I'll send you the materials that I have. Thank you. Thank you again, Sergio.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo. Sergio, yes, thank you. I want to take personal privilege and give you a shout out. Really appreciate you. Once I sent the email, and Councilor Bencomo as well, for supporting this and working on it diligently and moving it to, like, within weeks we had it at our Housing Policy Review Committee. This is something I think that's really going to help provide, the safety and well-being for those that are unhoused, but also our businesses that, we hear regularly from about people defecating, urinating, in or around their sidewalk and or front doors, those sorts of things. And I think this will be very helpful. I know I've had conversations with Families and Youth Incorporated Plus. I know there's a representative here, I think I see Logan up there waving at me, hello. And I just received EFO, the documentation of what they're thinking. I know that I had brought an individual to you that is very well versed in storage containers specifically for these hygiene stations, have done it nationally, and that was in the summer time. And so I know that FYI sort of took the ball and ran with it. And I'm not sure, Logan, if you have anything you'd like to say, or maybe we shouldn't even do that at this point in the event that we have to go to procurement. Probably not a good idea. But anyhow, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your work on this. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Christine.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-083. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Karan?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, what do we got here? Let me get myself together. I don't believe we have any board appointments. Nope, no, I'm looking at Christine, no board appointments. Okay, next is notice of proposed ordinances. There will be no public discussion. A councilor may ask staff for clarification on the proposed ordinances. 9.1, Council Bill number 23-016.
Bring it forward, please.
Thank you. 9.2, Council Bill number 23-017.
bring it forward.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. And just like that, we are at City Council Member Board Reports and Comments. Okay. Where am I at? Just reminding folks, thank you, everybody. Just reminding folks about the notice that went out effective January 1st, 2023, $12 per hour minimum wage and $4.78 per hour for tipped employees. I know that we posted on our website, Eva, I'm not sure if we sent letters. Typically in the past, we've sent letters to businesses informing them of the change, and I wasn't sure if that happened. I knew that there was a press release and something on our website, but I just wanted to make sure that, yeah, you would follow up. Thank you so much. And again, I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. As I contemplated and worked through today's meeting, I'm going to follow Councillor Abeyta's words, and I will say with, my word is conviction. Conviction. And I'm so looking forward to 2023 and all that it is going to be for us, and excited to serve, continue to serve with each of you on the dais. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Councillor Curran.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate your word, and I feel put on the spot, but I'll have to think about it for a little longer to join you guys in that. I just want to give a quick preview of some things that I think I'm really looking forward to us collectively working on. This hygiene station is a part of a conversation that I think we are continuing to have, and I really look forward to the commitment to work on really housing and homelessness in the next year is a high priority, and I'm really looking forward to that with you all. The other thing that I did want to mention that we're going to keep plugging through is looking at our animal codes. I know that there have been a number of conversations, and there are some drafts to update our animal control codes and really be thinking about them in constructive ways. And I'm previewing this because it will take us a long time to really work through all of the issues related to that. But I do want to say that for me, that's one of my biggest priorities for this year. And I know that there are already folks hard at work on it, as am I, and so I just want to put those things out there. In addition, we did not have a TSI meeting this month. We'll be back in February with a number of interesting topics, and that's all I'll say for this.
Thank you, Councillor Curran. Councillor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
I hope everyone had some quality time with their loved ones over the holidays. I got pretty sick, so that kind of sucked a little bit, but I'm here with my trusty Vicks. I did want to just note that there was an email sent out from PIO regarding the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area Public Information Session next Thursday. If this is on your list, I'm sorry. Not next Thursday, I apologize. This Thursday, January 5th at 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., both virtual and in-person options. In-person options at Cruces Creatives. So I think, I'll definitely be sending this out on to the folks I'm in communication with. I think I saw some maybe confusion on social media regarding where these MRAs are being proposed, and it's not necessarily downtown. There's already an MRA downtown, and so this is about expanding these areas to other neighborhoods and areas in our community that are blighted. And so I really hope that the folks who have been coming to talk to us about El Paseo, San Solano, and West Picacho attend one of these meetings and provide their input about why something like this is so desperately needed in these areas, because I do believe that MRAs and providing blighted areas with support is a form of public safety. And so I will be at one of them for sure, and I hope other people can make it as well. I don't really have anything else other than that, but just wanted to wish everyone a joyful new year, rest of the year. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Bencomo. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Happy New Year. And this is not helping having session on a Tuesday for the having no clue what day it is, which I have been experiencing for the last 2 weeks. I think every day is Sunday. No, I don't really have anything. I don't really have anything either. I don't have a word for the year, but I do have a commitment, and that is to have more in-person conversations. I think so much of the beauty and nuance and possibility to find understanding to bridge gaps happens face-to-face, and I'm going to commit to making the time to make that happen a little more often. So if you're sending me angry emails, let's have an angry in-person conversation. No, just kidding. But no, I really do. I want to open up to that in a more meaningful way. Yeah, that's about it for now. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I really love that, Councilor Graham. Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Abeyta.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm actually going to pass for today so that nobody has to listen to my voice anymore. But thank you.
Oh, feel better.
Yeah,
please.
feel better.
Thank you.
I do want to just quickly follow up. I had made mention that I had scheduled a meeting with folks that provide substance abuse treatment. We had that meeting a couple of Fridays ago, very successful meeting. We had about 30 plus people there, really speaking on behalf of strengths, gaps, barriers, and sort of areas where we definitely need to improve related to the seamless system of care that we have or not have, as the case may be, for people who are suffering from addiction. And so I have found out, and you've heard public comment, the 28-day facility that the Peak will be putting together, probably spring of next year. I'm really excited about that. There's some capital outlay opportunities. And IFO and I thank you for being so open and quickly to schedule, with Annette's help, to schedule meetings with Sandy Emmanuel, the CEO from the Peak, and Kristen Drake, representatives from the Peak. We had great conversations about what their vision is of providing the 28-day facility here in Las Cruces, and a proposal to come back to us and possibly in time for our budget retreat that we will be having in February. February? Yes, okay. And then the other is the Los Amigos project, which is, I want to say, a 32 to 42 bed facility for our disabled population that suffers from addiction as well, and that's off of Los Amigos Court. They have capital outlay needs as well, and they are looking to have a bill sponsored specifically with Senator Hamlin. And so these two facilities are essential for assisting folks that we see sometimes on the street, those that our MIH programs are addressing daily with overdoses, and then people getting to that point that they're ready for treatment and not having anything here available. So I think this is going to be a really helpful and I'm looking forward to hearing more from them, and we'll be presenting those things to you all as they come available. And then I just want to tell my constituents, I'll be sending an email about that budget retreat. Every year I send an email out and ask about priorities that they have, that they feel we should incorporate into the budget, and so be looking for that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ivo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just looking for anything that was sent to me, but just a couple of things that I wanted to bring to attention of council. And I don't know if anybody here's watched I'm sure you all did watch the bowl game. NMSU, really grateful for their win and their. But one thing I wanted to point out, I really appreciate Visit Las Cruces jumping on this opportunity. we were the only bowl game that day in the country. So there are 84 million homes. I think it was on ABC. And so they jumped on some commercial spots for the city. And so we'll get more details on how that went through. But it's really affordable, really reasonable. And so I don't know if everyone saw the commercials.
I did.
I thought it was well done. And like I said, they were able to move on it pretty quick. So if you haven't seen that, I think we have it posted somewhere. And then with that, we are planning the parade. Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor texted me right after, or Mayor Pro Tem did, texted me right after making sure that we're on top of it, and staff is looking into dates for a parade for the Aggies. I think there's some tentative dates in the later part of January. And then I think Connie just sent me something, ribbon cutting. Oh yeah, sorry, ribbon cutting at the airport this upcoming Tuesday, January 10th from 10 to 11 a.m. to launch the air passenger service. So really excited about that.
Yes, we are.
Flight starting, taking off on Monday, January 16th. Flights daily on weekdays, 2 flights on Mondays and Fridays, 1 flight Tuesday through Thursday. So that's the current schedule. And then I believe that's all, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Sorry, can I
Pugh.
ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is there going to be a flight at the ribbon cutting? Oh, like some kind of weird inaugural flight?
No, there is an inaugural flight.
I think that is the day that they start. No.
So the 16th
But I
is
mean,
when
like,
they'll start. No flights before then,
Oh, okay. I was picturing something similar to like giant golden scissors, but with like a plane. Skywriting? No? Okay.
So anything you can do about that, Connie?
I know some people, so let me, let's talk to the vendor and see. Would you be willing to fly at the ribbon cutting? Do we have some volunteers?
I'm volunteering.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, the company will be there, so we'll see. I don't know what festivities they have planned, but I do hear there will be food. So I know that for sure, but let's see if we can get a plane to go around in circles. Okay?
Thank
We'll
you.
check and get back to you.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you so much. Okay, Christine, that concludes our meeting, and right?
So moved to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Councillor Graham, second by Councillor Bengomo. Christine.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councillor Beta? She must be gone.
It cut out.
Okay. Absent. Councillor Graham?
Yes.
Councillor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councillor Cram?
Yes.
Councillor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Thank you.
No, that's next week.
Thank you.